attend remotely. All right, you're live, Mr. Chair.
I'll leave him alone.
Oh, that's
Well, it's 2 o'clock. Might as well start the meeting. Looking for a motion on the agenda.
so move. Second.
Motion made and
I
seconded.
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
At the minutes of the 5th of January. We didn't have one last time.
Vote for approval.
Motion to approve by Johnny B.
Second.
Seconded by Steve. All in favor?
All right. Aye.
Aye.
Anybody that has any conflict of interest, speak now or don't worry about it. Do you have any public comments?
No public comment.
Any supervisors not seated want to say something? Because everybody's a member of the committee. Our administrator update from the information that he may have available to us since he's been back.
Since I've been back. One thing that I'm happy to tell this group about is we are proceeding with a, what's the purpose here? A transit feasibility study. We all talked about public transportation. So West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission and Polk County staff will be working together to identify what types of public transportation are needed. Everybody's kind of got their own idea. Some people need trips to the grocery store. Some people need trips to the work. Other people need trips to the airport or to the, whatever. So we're going to identify what the needs are throughout the county, doing public hearings, public planning sessions, surveys, that type of thing, to identify what types of things we need. And then we'll develop a plan to say, is this something we want to proceed with, and develop a plan to address it. So that's something that you'll be hearing about. It's probably something that we'll be kicking off here in the next month, and will probably be about a year when we come back with the final results of that.
That's really good news because that's a whole lot more important than what we realize.
Transit? Was he commenting?
I think he was talking about, transit and looking for public
You can
transportation.
hear better than I can, for Christ's sake. He's 2,000 miles away.
Technology. So, and that's really what the only new thing that I have for this group.
Well, you haven't been around long. That's good. Okay. Yeah, thanks anyway, Vince. That was good. As limited as it was really good information.
I'll come back with more next time.
Okay,
I'll
no
make
worries.
stuff up.
What do you got, Mo?
Is it me?
Yeah.
You. All right. Get the podium. Got all kinds of stuff.
This is why it was short. He's got lots
Yeah,
of
good.
stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'll start down the list as we go through here. I gave you a packet also. It should be in order. Starting out is the bipartisan infrastructure law funding that came about. And those of you are aware that this passed legislation at the federal level to put more money into highways. It opened up the ability to bring in not only major collector roads, but local roads, so towns can go for this money also. The only issue is right now is they passed the law for this funding. They didn't fund it yet, as they have reoccurring resolutions to extend the federal funding on the surface transportation program. The funding is not yet set for this. Hopefully in May it will be. The applications for 2020, if you wanted to get in on 2020, 2022 projects, It did open it up to locals, but you had to fund the design yourselves locally. And it had to be ready to go, shovel ready by August for construction. Very tight time frame for that. I did scope out 3 projects for county projects for 2022. And those projects would be County B from 35, State Highway 35 to Atlas. That's one project. The other project was County B from Atlas to 87, and then County E from 80 or 35 to County EIO intersections there. All those projects, County B from 87 to Atlas is about 1.6 million to get that one paved. From Atlas to B to 35, that one's around 2.9 to get paved. County E up there, that one's running around 4 million to get that one paved. Now, if we go out for design to put those in 2022, I still have opportunity to get that application in. We'd have to pay for the design up front. That design would run anywhere from 96,000 to 150,000, depending on which project I put in. They just opened up the 23-26 year cycle program on those. That does include design. It's the same as the normal surface transportation program, an 80-20 split. There's 3 programs. There's bridge, rural, and now local that incorporates minor collectors and local roads. Those are the ones primarily a town would go for. And the only other project I'd have for that one would be the B project from Atlas to 87. That's a local road. That's not a major collector. So with that, I'm going to look at, if you guys want to discuss a project I want to put in there, I'm looking at putting in for 2023 cycle is County B from 35 to Atlas. That has the Ivers Mountain pit on it. It's seen a lot more truck traffic. 80-20 split on that one. We're looking more towards that $3 million project with a 20% split for us. That'd be my recommendation on putting that in there. If you guys are all right with that for funding, that's one I'd go with. I think we could push E out to another federal program in the next cycle and make that work.
On B, is there, you said it's 3 million?
Yes.
Is there some major construction on that, or is that just topping?
It's almost 7 miles long, so it's a long stretch, which raises it up. But that first section from 35 to Ivers Mountain at the base of the hill there, I'd have to construct that a little thicker due to the heavy truck traffic coming out from the
curve?
curve there. Yeah. So that's my intent. I need that application in by June 3rd. I have preliminary estimates on those with those, but I'd put that application in for that stretch then. That'd be the next one in the federal program.
Question, Mo.
Yes.
So that stretch doesn't need to meet 3R standard to be considered in the program?
I had an engineering consultant come out to it. It does meet 3R standards currently without purchasing right away or land from anyone else. We can do it within the footprint of our right away, which was a big component of the program, not to make sure there was railroad crossings, land acquisition, or any wetlands that I'd have to go through. So that ticked all the boxes for a low risk project.
Good.
Going back to your packet here, the first one, if you look at it, the 243 bridge project. This one right here, we had a kickoff meeting on this project. And there is a virtual public meeting held March 5th. As the information is where you can log on to it. It gives the options on the bridge project. Location, there's 3 options. One locating the bridge in the same footprint, one just north of the existing footprint, and one south of the existing footprint. It does accommodate a 12-foot pedestrian walking trail, recreation trail across it. With that, they are looking for my notes here. The construction date on this is set for 2026. So they're seeking public input on this, and you can find public input also at the Town of Osceola's village shop. They have the forms there in the town shop down there for that. So that's out there. I included the PowerPoint from our presentation, so you can see the schematics of it in there and how that looks on that project's going to go. The item C is the WISDOT road plan. Right now for WISDOT, that is this colored map here. That shows what they're programmed in the next cycle for Polk County. And you can see for 2023 is State Highway 65 and US 63 from J South. For this year, it's US 63 from J North, which is actually Faribault. And then 46 south of Amory to the county line is scheduled for this year. So we got quite a bit of paving going on down there. The state has also requested us on maintenance to perform 6.63 miles of chip seal on State Highway 35, 6 miles of crack seal on State Highway 35. They would like us to spray patch and crack seal 11.5 miles on on State Highway 46 from 8 to 35, and 3 miles of shouldering on Highway 8 from 35 north to 65. So that's kind of our projects for the state right now. With that, next on the next agenda item is County D discussion of the action on County Road C. This was property that was brought to the committee back in 21. Jay requested this come back forward. This is the possible transfer of county right-of-way from County Road C to the town of Lincoln. I included the resolution 2321 on there that needs to be updated on there. So
Where's that one?
it should be the next one in your packet there.
Yeah, I'm looking. Might be ahead. There.
I didn't rewrite the resolution in case, Jay, you can speak on this one. We can get a new number for 2022, but if there was something that you wanted to change versus fire substation to emergency management,
What
in
I
case you want
wanted,
an ambulance in there.
what I wanted to do, I didn't see. I got a copy of it. But I got a copy, or I brought one, I typed it on. And basically what I wanted to change is paragraph 3, the eliminating the description of the use for fire, fire protection, fire construction of a building or something like that, for the purpose of enhancing all emergency services in the area, not just fire. And I'd like to have that changed by removing the locating and constructing of a fire department substation on the property. But it's for the purpose of enhancing all emergency services in the area. And then where in paragraph 4, the fire department substation, that's a description of what it would do, but any service obviously would enhance the welfare of the citizens or any visitor in our area, and they may require emergency services also. Just because they're from visiting doesn't mean they're not going to require some service of ours. Part of the reason for these changes that I'm hoping we can do to this resolution is the fact that there's some serious consideration of emergency services. I'm on the ambulance board. We're in the process of merging with the ambulance service north of us. These things are becoming more demanding. they're having problems with, as are fire departments, problems with volunteer help, how they're compensated. We're running into some serious problems with our emergency services. There's going to have to be some significant changes. And they're coming. I see that they're coming. We're going to be some full-time people available in these services, on call. We're going to have to offer more than what our services are deteriorating to. So when I'm asking for some of these things, this is just that's a good location for emergency services consideration for the spot that it's at, because it's kind of in a dead zone from various departments, Garfield, Lincoln, Apple River, Balsam Lake. They would all benefit from something, an enhancement of something. I have no idea what it might be, but I just want to get it prepared and ready for something in the future. So when we get into the resolve aspect of it, I just want to change the verbiage to it, for the now be it resolved that the 2.5 acres total size of township of Lincoln is used for purpose of expansion and or improvement of emergency services in the area. Now, and as far as the potential transfer of the property from Lincoln to anybody else would be prohibited. I think that can simply be done by a paragraph, be it further resolved, that any transfer of ownership shall revert back to Polk County, period. We certainly aren't in the business of real estate and trying to make any money on it. So, I think that would solve the problem. Now, I don't know if you were following all that. Do you think that that's an appropriate changes to the resolution?
I think it's sufficient enough to have it redrafted, get a new number and put it back on the agenda and go forward.
Well, I make a motion that we change this resolution for that to conform with those changes so that we can, the way it was written in my estimation in the past was we couldn't really do anything there. Pretty restricted parking a vehicle even, other than unless it was a fire truck. But and I wanted more so we can work on the land, get it ready, maybe put in driveways. There's a number of things that could happen in the future or in the preparation of a better accept or use for being prepared to use the property much more advantageously. So that's my point, and I'd appreciate any. I'll second it. Okay, the motion is made and seconded to make those.
So do we need language?
The language, I think Malia's got it.
Yeah, so with those minor changes, but that does alter the substance of the purpose. I'll draft a new one. We'll get a new number from the clerk's office and have it placed on the agenda and go
County
forward as a
board.
fresh resolution.
This goes into general government right next.
Yes.
Okay, and then they can act on it if you fit. And then hopefully we can go to the county board by our March meeting. Okay, get this thing resolved, been hanging around for a long time. So all in favor of that changes signified by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Well, it can't be because everybody said aye. All right. I'm done with that.
Item E is discussion of the utility accommodation policy. I did send out the new version that was adopted by the WCHA on this policy. We have adopted this policy in the past. This just came back with new revisions that they were looking at. One of the new revisions was on their application on page 23 was the indemnification language that was new. I'm going to get with Malia on this and get her thoughts on that language. It's nothing that we have to adopt today. It's part of their permit application they have in here, but we have our own permit application. So when we adopted this back when Steve was on the WCHA committee that drafted the original policy here, we did not adopt their forms. We have our own forms. So that's one area we're looking at. And then the other one that's not more just cleanup language is it is in subsection 96.60. Excuse me, 96.61 communications. They added small cellular carriers governed by state statute. That middle paragraph was added, which would be policy 96.61 on that one. Those are the only really subsequent changes made to that besides some cleanup language. Once I go talk to Malia and Joe more on that indemnification language, if we need that on our permit itself, I will be bringing this back to committee next month for approval, and then we can just put it on our website and let our utility companies know that there's been some minor changes made to it.
You don't need any action on that.
I do not need any action today.
All right. Any questions of that? Steve might be the only one that you have one if you need.
A lot of trips to Wausau.
Okay. I believe it. I believe it. Okay. What else you got?
Item F, update on the K Bridge replacement project. In your packet, this is posted now on our county website. They're doing a virtual public information gathering meeting on this. So if there's concerns from neighbors and stuff, they can, or if you have questions on it, you can go ahead and read the packet. It includes the drawings of the bridge. This bridge is scheduled for replacement next year. And this is the bridge on County Road K that's between Double P and 65. It's currently posted at 35 points.
Yeah, that's the same one we've been talking about for.
Yep, down at the bottom of the hill down there.
Yeah.
So that's more information for you if people ask on the bridge project. There's the links and everything for that. The next item is the State Highway 65 project that's slated on that map for next year. One of the things the state has reached out and requesting is a transfer of right away from the county to the state. It's kind of cleanup language. I included a map here of what the county lands are they own. We own right to the center of 65 at that intersection. It's more of just cleanup when it comes down to it. I will go to general government with this as they're trying to get 0.327 acres is what needs to be transferred to the state for that project.
How are you gonna, that, they just changed it not too many years ago to where this message is now.
Correct.
Yeah,
This is just changing the right of way parcel maps because it shows that we own part of Highway
Oh, okay.
65. So that's all that's doing.
okay, good.
And this one, I'm not quite sure. Do I need an action to move this to general government with approval then, Malia? For this, to transfer those?
You need action to pass it, to approve and pass it. Need a motion on that
Move.
by Steve, seconded by Joe. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All right, you got it.
The next one is possible action on Work Zone Safety Week. Work Zone Safety Week is coming up April 11th and the 15th. Typically, And it's up to the committee. Typically, the WCHA would like all counties to do a feel-good resolution, saying they're in favor of Work Zone Safety Week. Not sure if we need to do that. If you'd like to, we'll draft one together for you. It's much better if the committee members contact our legislators and help with our legislation that's going through there, like the green light legislation or the Work Zone Safety one, it goes a lot longer.
Is that not coming through county, state?
That is coming through the state.
Okay, and we would be replicating their resolution?
Just replicating their resolution in support of Work Zone Safety Week.
We did not do that last year.
We did not do that last year.
I would certainly like to see it go through the county board.
Okay,
At least it brings attention to work zones, not that they don't realize that they're there in that season, beginning pretty quick, but at least the safety factor.
yes. And there's a draft resolution attached to that, and I will get with Malia and the county clerk and draft that resolution to move forward to the board. I need a motion then just for us to do that.
Make a motion to move forward that county board.
Second.
Or Jim.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
And then with Work Zone Safety, one of the exciting things that we're working with the WCHA is we're working with minor league baseball in Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Mallards, the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, the Kenosha Kingfish, and La Crosse Loggers to have a Work Zone Safety Night on, I believe it's during the week of that they'll have our ads up on the Jumbotron and possibly be able to donate 60 tickets for those games for workers to go out and see the ball games. Right now, it's just a pilot program with those 4 teams in the southern part of the county and hoping to move it up to like the Superior teams and more of the northern teams in the next cycle. So work with Major League Baseball on that, and you should see more coming out on that. And then other than that, crews are getting prepared for this weekend storms. Look like we have freezing rain coming in. Tonight, tomorrow morning, we should have freezing rain that we've got coming in, starting at 1 o'clock in the morning. This Friday and Saturday, we have also freezing rain. They're calling more significant weather coming in. So we're gonna have some very treacherous roads out there. And then that's all I got for now. I got one more handout to hand out to you that's just highlights of the last 2 years. And I'll hand that out to you when I get done here. Any questions?
Does anybody have any? Doug, did you raise your hand or you just? No,
I got one.
go ahead.
Any feedback from the crews on the rumble strip as far as improving people's awareness through work zone? Or, I mean, it certainly got my attention tonight.
Yeah, the crews, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on them. It's implementing them in getting them the right distance from the job site, but they are working. They are slowing traffic down. They're heavy, not the easiest thing to deploy, but they are working.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple comments.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if you all got the invitation on that 243 open house virtual meeting, but I did, and I have it in front of me. And I was in touch with Mark Balker this morning. He is the Wisconsin DOT contact person. And I asked him when we would have a local meeting. I think it's very important to have our highway department, our county chair, and the neighboring boards of Town of Osceola and Farmington. And all his contacts so far has pretty much been with the village of Osceola, but I said we're all affected. And so he plans to have a open house public meeting right around the 1st of April. and I'll be home by then. And for the open house comments at 7 o'clock from 5 to 7 on March 3rd. His name is Mark Balker, BOWKER, and his phone number is 715-635-4975. And it's important that we have the comments from our Polk County area. So just wanted to get that across.
Yeah, speaking of that, you mentioned something that who's really in charge? 243 is a bridge connecting Minnesota, Wisconsin, Osceola, Polk County. You know, I mean, who's all involved in that?
Primary on that 243 bridge is Minnesota. That's considered a Minnesota bridge.
Okay,
So they're the prime on that. Wisconsin follows behind that one. Highway 8 bridge, Wisconsin is the lead on that one. Typically, it's every other bridge.
okay, yep. And that federal government is not involved at all.
I'm sure there's federal funds on that one.
I mean, the highway was a federal highway at one time.
Correct. Yeah, they've done studies for the, there's I think 3 to 5 different types of brown bass they found down there, nesting birds, and they're working through those on the time frame on when they do the construction.
This Mark Balker is very good to talk to, and some of the comments and planning stages are like for a walkway, a snowmobile crossing, and different things like that, walking area, and all those things would be included in the new design. We have to express our interest in that.
All right, good. All right, thanks, Mo. I look like Sheriff Walkman. I think you're handling his information for him.
Not sure, but he did ask me to come and give some updates.
Nothing but fear alone stop you. Thank you.
Sheriff's Department's been busy. Back on the 24th of January, our canine handler, Steve Clayton, who had Zeke, found out that Zeke had hip issues, and we had to retire Zeke pretty early. He'd only been with us for, I think, a little under 3 years. But he was over a year when we got him. So January 24th, we got the information that he was going to be retiring Zeke. On February 7th, we had our new guy picked, and he's already in school to replace Zeke. So Deputy Adam Gehring is our new canine handler. He's been with us. He was our prosecutor. Very good guy for that. After we received the dog, Chief Deputy Burrows secured a $7,500 grant through the USPCA to help offset the cost for the dog, and our Canine Association is probably going to match that. So hopefully it'll be a little other than time away, because he's not slated to be done with school until mid-May. So the Wisconsin Badger Sheriff's Association received a sizable donation, and they made grants available to all of the sheriff's departments in the state. Polk County received about $20,000 in that grant. The gist of that grant was to improve officer safety in high intensity situations. So we obtained a POCAM, an extendable camera that within 150 yards of the camera, somebody can be watching what's going on through a viewfinder. Obviously, to increase the safety of our guys, you can look up in places where normally you'd have to stick your head up into, and now we won't have to do that. Next month, Sheriff Walk says that he will come in and demonstrate said POCAM for the board. So, right now, the sheriff's offices is working with an independent contractor to create recruitment videos for all of our divisions. Right now, the dispatch center has their video done. The jail is working on theirs or should have it done shortly. The purpose is to increase recruitment for the positions. Every year, we get less and less people. Chair had mentioned in any line of the services, fire, EMS, and law enforcement, we're all suffering the same plight of nobody wants to do the job anymore. So hopefully the recruitment video shows what we do, anybody that has questions. It may generate the new, younger group of people that are attracted to those type of videos to apply for our sheriff's office. So, and right now, for example, right now, the jail is 3 people short. And they have a continuous turnover in the jail. Chief Deputy did notice that one of the issues, and obviously it's a discussion for later, is that it just appears that our pay right now for our jail starting is lower than the surrounding. Like I said, it's a continual plague that we're having. When I started in law enforcement, and I'm going to go back 20 years, when I applied for this job, we filled the Amory cafeteria with applicants. Last time we did a recruitment, we really only had 14 applicants. So the pool is shrinking. We've been able to get good applicants, but it's still the pool is shrinking, so not many more people are applying. So hopefully those recruitment videos help out with that. Another issue that the sheriff's office is having is we are having huge trouble finding cars right now. We put out our RFPs for cars. We're able to get 2 Durangos and 1 transport minivan, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any squad cars for 2022. Part of the issue has to do with purchasing, which we have talked with the administration about, of how we can possibly earmark these cars earlier in the year. Generally in October, November area, the dealerships or the Dodge, I will say Dodge because that's normally who we work with, will start planning what their build is going to be for the next year. And they close it off while we start our RFPs for the purchase of the squads in January, get it done in February. By that time, the build area for the squads is already closed. So right now, I don't know what we're going to do for the Ford squads that we need to replace. So, anybody has any help with that? I know Mo had a similar issue with getting a truck. And we're still waiting on one of the squad trucks that we purchased back in 2021. So we agreed for the purchase in February of last year, and we still haven't seen it yet on the squad truck. As far as working, we had 1 fatal snowmobile crash this year, back in January. 71-year-old guy brought back home from the bar, probably knew the trail, don't know if alcohol was involved at this point, but he did die on the trails going home. So I think we've been fortunate this year. Anybody in the county knows that normally in the year with snowmobiles, ATVs and stuff, we lose people. So having 1 so far this year, hopefully that'll be the last we see. And obviously with the warm weather and depending on what precipitation we get over the next few days, the trails might close. So, any questions out of me?
Anybody have any questions? No, Johnny,
Yeah,
any questions?
I don't have any questions.
No, I don't either. Thank you.
Okay, hearing none. Thanks for your report. Appreciate it. Doug, you want to advocate your ATV information to one of your members that are still sitting here so they can give us a total up-to-date notice on the situation that they talked about today?
That would be great, sir.
Listen,
We only,
that'd be nice.
well, we only talked about a couple of things, and because Mo's involved in those, I asked Mo if he could just speak to those 2 issues.
Okay. Very good.
The two issues we talked about today was there was a landowner issue on the Sterling Loop on the northeastern part of that loop. That the forester met with that landowner and the town chairman up there. They decided to move that portion of the trail more towards the west. Currently, that portion of the trail is not being built. It's more the connector up to Burnett County that we're waiting on Burnett County to allow us to open up those trails. So subsequently, we have the loop a little south of that, and the loop is completed down there. So this section won't be opened up unless something changes with Burnett County. The other thing we mentioned was the ATV intensive park RFPs went out. We did not get any responses back on those. So we're stepping back from that right now, and we'll give it another try later on. And that's the report.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Hearing none, I appreciate the report.
So I'm actually going to turn the CJCC over to Melissa Fisher, our new CJCC coordinator. She's joined us. And depending on how nice y'all are to her today, she'll be here each month to update you on the CJCC.
I don't think I have a choice, even if you guys are mean today.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot for you guys because the other day just hit 1 month of me being with Polk County. But I do have numbers on our participants in the different programs. So for the first time offender program, right now there are 3 participants, 8 are pending. I did speak with the case manager on that. She said that program is pretty hands-off, so she can take a lot more people. So if she starts getting referrals for those, she can start putting people in that program. The Intoxicated Driver Intervention Program has 6 participants. No one is pending for that right now. Substance diversion, I guess in the past that program really hasn't had participants, but right now there's 2 participants and 1 is pending. And then for treatment court right now, we have 11 participants and 2 are pending. And then just like a little summary of my first month with Polk County. Last week, I was able to attend the chief's meeting with the 2 case managers. And we will be going to each police department in Polk County and discussing the programs and also getting input from the officers there and what they would like to see from the CJCC. The systems map is something that was promised to, I believe, the Department of Justice in order to get the TAD funding. That will be getting started. Don Wortham from UW Extension is going to be helping with that. And so we're hoping to get started. I'm actually leaving for Florida tonight for a week. That was pre-planned. So as soon as I get back, we're starting on the systems map. Community service has been a big issue for programs. A lot of, like after COVID hit, a lot of places where participants were going for community service, they no longer have that option. So we're hoping to build that back up. That's something that the judges would really like to see, is having solid places where they can send people to get community service hours. So that's, we've been collecting information on places that are available in the communities, and then hopefully we'll be able to start getting stuff set up so we can make a list and start sending people to those places. And then another program that people would like to see return to Polk is the victim impact panels. So I know Chad had told me that before Polk County used to have the victim impact panels in-house, and they've been sending those out. And so the county is actually losing like $14,000 to $15,000 a year by sending people out for victim impact panels. And so the hope is that we can eventually figure out programming and bring that back to the county. So we're getting those funds back. And that's all I have for you guys, unless you have questions.
Well, first of all, I would like to welcome you on behalf of this committee. I know you're new at it, at least here.
Yes.
We've had a little bit of a lull, in fact, quite a lull in the communications and contact between CJCC and the county board, basically. And that's due to a number of different things. But one of the main ones is the fact that the coordinator we just haven't had a full-time coordinator that's been active like we anticipate. You're gonna be, you come quite highly recommended by a number of different things. So I just wanted to welcome you and we can almost guarantee you with Chad's interest and now with your input and we'll be on your committee so that we will have better connection and better understanding from the county board of what CJCC is and what they do. I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thank you. I've been happy to be here, so it's been a good month.
Any questions, anybody?
No, don't you have the authority to cancel vacation?
If he does, he has to take my 2 teenagers for that week, so.
Okay.
Good luck.
man, you just got back, so you can do it.
I'm okay. Cancel them all. I'm good.
All right, thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much. How are we standing on this, there's been some talk.
Yeah, there's been the sports complex, a couple of board meetings ago, I gave just kind of preliminary information on it. We said, we'll have SFA, the consultant, come in and talk about it. In the meantime, there's been some discussions. Ms. LeBlanc, Mr. Nelson, and the EDC director have talked about possibly transferring the kind of the point position on that sports complex over to the EDC. And that the administrator and the EDC director could work on that together, so to speak, to plan and to present to the board as needed. So the original plan was to have SFA present at the March board meeting. I want to talk with Mr. Nelson and Ms. LeBlanc to see where we are in that resolution. And the resolution will basically be kind of transferring it from the public sector to having more of a private sector initiative, because that's what it would take to be successful, would be the private sector getting involved and saying, we want to invest, we want to start recruiting citizens to get behind it. So, it's an idea for you guys to discuss too, if you want, is we're right at March. We could come have SFA present the findings in a more detailed fashion as to what the demand study showed. But then we'll have a new board in April, so the question might be, would be better off doing that in April. I don't know if you have a preference. I don't know if
April's gonna be pretty busy.
April is.
I mean, just organizational meetings.
So I think we probably will stick with the plan then for March. If I have not, I didn't check if that's on the agenda yet, but we'll get SFA up just to give the demand study, and then also let Tracy and Chris talk about how do we want to organize this going forward, or do we want to stop it altogether? That's a possibility too.
Well, we're pretty well. We committed to the study
We already did the demand study.
and it's been done.
Yeah, now the next portion would be a feasibility study. In other words, we got kind of a general idea of what the demand would be and what sports or activities and the size. We kind of shrunk that down. Then the next question is the feasibility study, which would do a pro forma and would say, here's how much revenue you could expect to generate in this area. Here's what the expenses would be. And that's what any investor, from the private sector would want to see. That would cost probably $40,000
Really?
range in there.
Well, okay. I think that's fine. Then we will have a presentation in March.
Yeah, we can discuss it, and there might be a resolution coming soon after that.
All right. Anything else on the complex? Any questions? Hearing none. Thanks. All right. Our monthly review of the work plan.
It's pretty standard. I am looking at it now. I can't see anything that needs added at this time.
Great. Got enough work to do.
More work.
Okay. Any subject matters, anything anybody might be interested in discussing or bringing up or going for the next meeting? Steve?
I just have a comment
Oh,
for Mo.
oh,
Comment. Now, you just recently put out an ad for or maybe it's continued to add for a highway maintenance worker, right?
Yes.
You hired one or two?
It's still open right now.
You apply.
You had, correct me if I'm wrong, you had 5 applicants. What
Wow.
were, okay, where we used to have 150.
Wow.
So related to your problem, we used to have 150 applicants for those jobs. Now we have 5. And of that, you got 2 or so.
Of that, we interviewed 4 subsequently to find out that only 1 had required a license on it. It wasn't a desirable candidate.
It's a different world today. That we're
And, you know, that's something, just as a reminder, that's something I touched on in the board meeting last week, is that across the board, we're like every other employer. I'm looking at it right now, we have 27 postings out right now. For example, I had a meeting earlier, behavioral health has 8 vacancies that we haven't been able to fill for months. So every one of behavioral health, administration, highway, every GAM is in dire straits for recruiting. I mean, absolute dire straits. So every one of our areas, because of the job market, are all facing the same thing. We're like every other employer. We offer a very competitive total rewards package. We went over some of those benefits enhancements we did at the board meeting, but we're facing the same thing everybody else is in this very unique economy.
You know, if I may, you think about why people come to work for a place like Polk County. And one of the things we've tried to do, as we said, you know, make it the best place to work and serve. And if you think about over the past couple of years, some of the enhancements we've made to our health benefits, tuition program, those types of things, I think enable us. We may not get the volume of people that we want, but we're getting the kind of people we want when we do get them. We hire them and then we retain them. That's why we're also working on how do we give these people opportunity to develop within the county. Used to be you took a job, you stayed there for your career until your boss died or moved on. And now we're trying to enable folks to see this as a career opportunity and move from one division to another, one department to another, so that they can work their way up the career. So retention will be is a key component of our strategy.
Another example of the sheriff's dilemma for applicants. When I applied 1968 for a deputy's position, there were about 45 or 50 applicants taking a test at Unity School. And as a result of that, you got to consider the types of individuals that were taking the test and the quality of them themselves, because I tested right at the top, so you can. The quality is somewhat depleted now. Okay, any other?
That's a good one, Jay.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
I seen this by the last meeting. I would like to make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, you want to second it too? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Did you get, can you pass that?